Picking up where the last video left off, I'm going to finish drawing the sweep path for the handle of my vase using a bunch of 3-point arcs. And just as before, I'm going to draw sort of the rough shape and then go back afterwards and add in all of the constraints to fully define the shape that I want. So 5 different 3-point arcs are going to come together for this handle. And then the first constraint that I'm going to put in, right now the way the arcs are drawn, there's a lot of sort of sharp edges and like awkward transitions from one arc to the next. The way to get rid of that is to use a tangent constraint. So starting with the line up here and the very first arc, the tangent constraint right there, or T on my keyboard, I'm going to do that for each of the arcs at the end. And then I'm going to start dragging my arcs around until they look a little bit more, a little closer to what I want them to be. And then I'm going to add in tangent constraints between each arc. So each arc to the arc right next to it needs to be tangent. Sometimes weird things like that will happen. I'm just going to undo. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back and finish the tangent constraints after I have some more of the dimensions in, so it's less likely to do weird things like that. So I'm going to start putting in the radius that I want each arc to have. So the first one's going to be 4.7. The next one's going to be 1.68. For this next one, I'm actually going to constrain its height first. And I'm going to constrain the height of the next one. And then I will go back to putting in more radii for each arc. And then now that I have all of the dimensions, I'm going to go back and again finish constraining things to be tangent to each other. Again, sometimes when you put in constraints with all of these arcs, super weird things like that can happen. So I just sort of undid my work until I get back to something that looks a little more normal. And then if I just try dragging the arcs around so they're sort of closer to what I want the end result to be, and then I go back and I put those tangent constraints in, it's more likely to jump to what I want it to actually be. Right, so if you're having trouble with that, if you get stuck for more than about 5 or 10 minutes trying to make all those constraints work and you have sort of weird things happening with the arcs, just stop, wait until you can get help. Ask a friend or ask me to help you troubleshoot it. Don't spin your wheels on this forever. But when it is done, this is what you should have with all of the dimensions, and you can see it has become fully constrained. So now that I have that, I'll click check on this sketch, and if I unhide some of the things that I've made, right, you can see the vase, the path that the handle is going to follow, and the cross section. Right? I'm going to rename these sketches as well. So sketch 3 was the handle cross section, and sketch 4 is the handle sweep path. And now I'm going to create my sweep. So sweep over here. And first it's asking me for what region to sweep. I can click on the sketch over here, or I can click on it in my features list, right? If I click on handle cross section over there, it gets added. And then for the sweep path, same thing. I'm going to click on it over here. If I try to click on it on my screen, see how each segment is going to click separately? I would have to select every single one. So if I want just all of them selected at once, I can just click it right here. And you can see the preview for my sweep shows up. I am making it a solid part, and I'm adding it to the existing part, right? Everything in my vase is all going to be just one part. So I'll click check on that. And you can see now I have my handle. The one problem with this, I'm going to hide this sketch. One problem is, see inside of the vase how the handle is sticking through, right? Because my path started here, the sweep started there too, and it created the handle both inside and outside the vase. And with this, I could try to make my path start right here, sort of at the edge of the vase, so I don't have that problem. But because the edge of the vase is curved, that's actually going to be pretty difficult to do, to make it line up exactly. So there's a command called delete face, which is instead the solution to this. And so what it'll do is it'll take the part I have, and what I can do is I can say, I'm going to take this face, I'm going to delete it until it intersects right here. And so it'll delete just this section, but leave the rest of my handle. So that command is right here, delete face. So I'll click on that, and then it just asks me to select what faces I want to delete. So I'm going to click on that surface right there, and then I also need to click on this right here. So when I click on both of those, you can see, oops, there's a problem. I think it didn't have both of them selected. But when I've clicked on both of those two faces, you can see now that part of the handle that was sticking out disappeared. I do want to do that for the bottom as well. I can do it all in one command. So if I go back into this delete face that I already made, double click so I'm editing it again, and then just add to my selection. So I'm going to select that face and also that face, and click the check mark, and you can see now both the bottom and top of the handle where they were sticking into the vase are deleted. And now I am completely done with this vase. The only thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rename this sweep to be handle. Right? And now notice how there's a few things that I didn't rename, like sketch 1, sketch 2. That's okay, because if you're sort of working in a logical order, like if this revolve right here is the main body, I can assume that the sketch right before it was the sketch that made the body. Same thing with the spout. The sketch that I didn't rename is the sketch that created the spout. So as long as most of your things are named, it becomes sort of easy to follow the flow of your work. And if you needed to troubleshoot anything or share this file with someone else, it would be fairly easy for that person to understand. So if you have these names in your file as well, you are all done with this tutorial.